The stars had always watched Earth. But 300 years ago, Earth learned that something else was watching too. Admiral Park stood alone in the observation deck of Orbital Station 7. Below her, the blue planet turned slowly, clouds swirling over oceans like white paint on glass. She had stood here 1,000 times. She would stand here 1,000 more. It was her duty to watch, to wait, to remember why humanity stayed silent. The door behind her opened with a soft hiss. Lieutenant walked in, his boots clicking against the metal floor. He carried a tablet in his hands, and his face showed the same anger had seen many times before. "Admiral," he said, "they passed through again, Council ships, 17 of them. They used our asteroid belt as a rest stop. They did not ask, they did not even slow down. Did not turn around, log it." "I did. The file is now over 40,000 entries long." "Then it will be 40,001. Stepped closer. He was young, only 32 years old. He had grown up hearing stories of patience and preparation, but hearing stories was different from living them. "How long do we keep pretending?" he asked. "How long do we act like we are nothing?" Finally turned. Her eyes were calm, but something burned deep within them. "We are not pretending to be nothing. We are choosing to be invisible. There is a difference." She walked past him to the main console. With a wave of her hand, she brought up a holographic display. It showed the solar system, with small red dots marking every council violation in the past month. There were hundreds of them. 300 years ago," said softly, "our ancestors found something, a probe, not ours. It carried messages, data, history. It told us everything about the galaxy we lived in." Nodded, every child on Earth knew this story. "The galaxy has rules," continued. 12 species rule everything. They call themselves the Galaxy Council. They are old, powerful, and cruel. They find young civilizations like ours and they break them. They take their resources. They take their people. They erase their cultures. They have done this for 1,000,000 years. She closed her fist, and the hologram disappeared. Our ancestors had a choice. They could announce themselves to the galaxy and hope for mercy, or they could stay quiet and prepare for the day when mercy would not be needed. They chose silence, said. They chose survival. Walked to the window again. A council ship was passing Jupiter, its massive form blocking the stars. It did not know that Earth was watching. It did not know that Earth had been watching for 3 centuries. "Every piece of technology they throw away, we collect," said. "Every signal they send, we record. Every ship that passes through, we study. They think we are primitives with simple rockets and nuclear bombs. They have no idea what we have become." Far below, in a facility buried deep under the mountains of Korea, Dr. Lee was having a similar conversation. She stood before the United Earth Assembly, her white coat bright against the dark chamber. 300 years of work," she said. Her voice was strong despite her age. 300 years of building in secret. I am here to tell you that we are ready." Assembly Speaker leaned forward in his chair. He was a careful man, a man who had spent his life measuring words and actions. "Ready for what?" he asked. Smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who had carried a heavy weight for too long. "Ready to stop hiding." Murmurs filled the chamber. Some were excited, some were afraid. All of them understood what this meant. "The Council believes we are still fighting each other with guns and tanks," continued. "They believe we have not even reached our own moon. This is the lie we have told them. This is the lie that has protected us." She pressed a button and the chamber filled with light. A hologram appeared showing ships, human ships, but they looked nothing like the clumsy rockets of old. They were sleek and powerful, built with knowledge stolen from the stars. "We have 7,000 vessels hidden across the solar system," said. "We have weapons that can break their shields. We have engines that can match their speed. We have spent 3 centuries learning from them, and then we made everything better." Stared at the hologram. And when do we use this power? When the time is right, not before. How will we know when the time is right? Turned off the hologram, the chamber fell into shadow again. We will know, she said, when staying silent costs us more than speaking. That night, Admiral Park received a message. It came from Europa, one of the secret colonies humanity had built on Jupiter's moons. The message was short and terrible. Contact lost with Mining Station 7, 47 souls. Last transmission mentioned unknown ships approaching. Read the message 3 times. Then she walked to her window and looked at the stars. For 300 years, humanity had swallowed its pride. It had watched the council ships pass by like wolves circling a silent village. It had buried its anger deep, using it as fuel for preparation instead of destruction. But patience was not endless. Pride could only bend so far before it broke. Somewhere in the dark between worlds, 47 humans were gone, taken by creatures who saw them as nothing more than resources. Closed her eyes. The time was coming. She could feel it in her bones. Earth had stayed quiet for 300 years, but silence, she knew, was just another form of screaming. The news spread across Earth like fire through dry grass. Mining Station 7 was gone. 47 people had vanished into the black void of space, taken by council ships that did not even bother to hide their crime. Learned the truth while sitting in the pilot-ready room on Europa base. She was cleaning her helmet when her commanding officer walked in. His face told her everything before he spoke a single word. He said softly, "I need to tell you something." She already knew. Her sister had worked at Station 7. She had sent a message just 2 days ago, talking about the ice crystals she had found, about the strange beauty of Jupiter's light. Now that voice was silent. "They took her," said. "It was not a question." Nodded. "They took everyone. The council claims it was a routine resource collection. They say they did not know humans lived there." They knew. Hands were shaking. They always know. She stood up and walked to the window. Europa's frozen surface stretched out below, white and blue and cold. Somewhere beyond that ice, beyond the stars themselves, her sister was being held in chains. Or worse. "How long?" she asked. "How long do we keep pretending we cannot fight back?" Had no answer. He had asked the same question 100 times himself. Back on Earth, the assembly met in emergency session. The chamber was full of angry voices and tired faces. For 3 centuries they had accepted small offenses, stolen resources, violated borders, ignored signals, but this was different. This was blood. Speaker called for order. The voices slowly died down. "We must respond," said one delegate. "They have taken our people." "If we respond, we reveal ourselves," said another. "Everything we have built will be at risk." "Everything we have built means nothing if we let them take us one by one." The argument went on for hours. Some wanted war. Some wanted continued patience. All of them were afraid, though none would admit it. Finally, Admiral Park stood. The room fell silent. She had not spoken during the entire debate. "I have served in silence for 40 years, she said. "My mother served before me, her mother before her. We have watched and waited and built. We have swallowed every insult and buried every loss. This is what our ancestors chose, and we have honored their choice." She paused, looking around the chamber. "But I did not swear an oath to silence. I swore an oath to protect humanity, and humanity is being taken from us." No one spoke, no one moved. "I do not ask for war," continued. "I ask for readiness. When the next offense comes, and it will come, we must be ready to answer." The vote was unanimous. Earth would remain silent for now, but its hand would rest on its sword. The next offense came faster than anyone expected. 3 weeks after the loss of Station 7, a massive council ship entered Earth's orbit. It was called the Mandate of Heaven, a name chosen to mock whatever primitive beliefs the humans might hold. The ship was the size of a city, its hull covered with symbols of the 12 ruling species. It did not hide. It did not pretend. It simply appeared above Earth like a god demanding worship. Then it spoke. Every screen on the planet lit up. Every radio crackled to life. Every communication device carried the same message, spoken in a voice that was cold and ancient. Primitive species of Sol 3, you are hereby claimed as a labor resource for the Galactic Council. Your planet has been assessed and found suitable for integration. You will provide workers for Council mining operations. You will provide biological materials for Council research. You will provide whatever the Council requires. The voice paused, as if expecting fear or confusion. Resistance will result in extinction. Compliance will result in survival. You have no other options. Prepare for collection. Integration teams will arrive in 7 planetary rotations. The message ended. Silence fell over Earth. For a long moment, no one knew what to do. 8 billion people stared at their screens, at the sky, at each other. 300 years of hiding had ended with a single broadcast. The wolves had finally come to the village door. In the assembly chamber, Speaker looked at Admiral Park. His face was pale, but his voice was steady. "Well," he said, "I believe the time has come." Nodded slowly. She touched a button on her wrist, opening a channel that had waited 3 centuries to be used. "This is Admiral Park to all units," she said. "Authorization code, Silent Dawn. The waiting is over. Prepare for emergence." Across the solar system, hidden ships began to wake. Engines that had never fired roared to life. Weapons that had never been tested powered up. Pilots who had trained their entire lives for a moment they believed would never come strapped themselves into their seats. Then opened a channel to the mandate of heaven. Her voice was calm and clear. "Council vessel, this is the United Earth Defense Force. You have entered our space without permission. You have threatened our people. You have made claims to which you have no right." She stood, her eyes fixed on the massive ship hanging above her world. "You have made a mistake." The council ship did not respond. Perhaps they were confused. Perhaps they were running scans. Perhaps they simply could not believe that a primitive species would dare to speak back. It did not matter. The silence was broken. Earth had finally answered. The mandate of heaven hung above Earth like a dark cloud. Its commander, a creature called, watched his screens with growing confusion. The primitive planet below was supposed to be easy. His intelligence reports said these creatures still burned dead plants for energy. They still killed each other over lines drawn on maps. They were nothing. But something was happening. His sensors were screaming warnings. Energy signatures were appearing everywhere, from under the oceans, from inside mountains, from the dark side of the moon, from places no primitive species should have anything hidden. "What is this?" demanded. "What am I seeing?" His officers had no answer. Then the sky filled with ships. They rose from Earth like silver birds taking flight. They emerged from the asteroid belt like wolves from shadows. They appeared around Jupiter and Saturn and Mars as if they had always been there, waiting. Thousands of them, human ships, but they looked nothing like the chemical rockets the Council had expected. These ships were fast. These ships were armed. These ships were very, very angry. Admiral Park stood on the bridge of the Defiance, humanity's flagship. It was a beautiful ship, built in secret over 50 years, designed by the greatest minds Earth had ever produced. Around her, officers worked in calm silence. They had trained for this moment their entire lives. "All wings report ready," said Lieutenant. His voice was steady, but his eyes were bright with emotion. "We have 4,000 ships in position. The Council vessel is surrounded." Nodded, she opened a channel to her fleet. "This is Admiral Park to all units. For 300 years we have watched them pass through our home. We have seen them take our people. We have heard their insults and swallowed our pride. Today, that ends. She paused, letting her words sink in. They came here expecting sheep. They will find wolves. All units engage. The battle began. Commander O led the first attack wing. She was 45 years old, born on a hidden station near Neptune, trained since childhood for a war that might never come. Now it had come, and she was ready. Stay together, she ordered her pilots. Remember your training. These are not gods. These are bullies who have never faced real resistance. Her wing dove toward the mandate of heaven, firing weapons that the Council had never seen before. The humans had not simply counseled technology. They had improved it. Energy beams that hit harder, shields that bent instead of broke, missiles that thought for themselves. The Council ship tried to fight back. Its weapons fired, filling space with deadly light. But the human ships moved in ways the Council computers could not predict. They were too fast, too coordinated, too creative. On the mandate of heaven, Commander watched in horror as his shields failed. Explosions rocked his ship. Alarms screamed in every corridor. "How is this possible?" he shouted. "They are primitives. They should not have this technology." But they did have it. 3 centuries of silent watching had given humanity everything it needed. And humans, it turned out, were very good at making things better. Back on Earth, Dr. Lee watched the battle from her command center. Beside her stood her student, the young woman who had invented the quantum shields that were saving so many human lives. "It is working," whispered. "The shields are holding. Our weapons are breaking through theirs." Nodded slowly. She felt no joy, only grim satisfaction. 300 years, she said. 300 years of pretending to be weak. They never imagined we were strong. "They will send more ships." "Yes, they will." "And then what?" Turned to face her student. Her eyes were tired but determined. "Then we show them that we are done being quiet." The battle lasted 6 hours. 6 hours of fire and death and desperate courage. Human pilots flew into danger without hesitation. Human ships took damage and kept fighting. Human commanders made decisions that Council tacticians could not understand. When it ended, the mandate of heaven was a burning ruin, drifting through space like a wounded animal. Commander was dead. His crew was scattered. His mission was a complete failure. Not a single human ship was lost. Admiral Park looked at the wreckage on her screens. She felt no pleasure in the destruction, only relief that her people were safe, only hope that the Council would understand the message. But she knew they would not understand, not yet. "Send word to Earth," she ordered. "Tell them the first battle is won. Tell them to prepare for what comes next." "What does come next?" asked. Turn to face him. "They will come back with more ships, with more weapons, with everything they have. They cannot allow a primitive species to defeat them. It would break their power over the galaxy." "Can we win against everything they have?" Was silent for a moment. Then she smiled, and it was the smile of someone who had finally put down a heavy burden. "We have spent 300 years preparing for exactly that question," she said. "And the answer is yes, we can win. We will win, because we are not fighting for territory or resources or power. We are fighting for our right to exist, and that is something the Council has never faced before." She turned back to the stars, to the galaxy that had ignored humanity for so long. "They wanted us to stay quiet," she said softly. "They should have been careful what they wished for. The quiet ones are always the most dangerous." The first battle was over. The war was just beginning. The Galaxy Council had ruled for 1,000,000 years. They had conquered 10,000 worlds. They had crushed 100 rebellions. They had never, not once, been defeated by a species they considered primitive. Until now. High Arbiter II sat on his throne of black stone, named after his ancestor who had died above Earth. Around him, the leaders of the 12 ruling species argued and shouted and blamed each other. The great chamber that had seen a million years of calm discussion was now filled with fear. "This is impossible," said the representative of the firstborn, the oldest species in the council. "Our reports said they were primitives. They burned dead plants for energy. They had not even colonized their own moon." "Your reports were wrong," snapped the leader of the Stone Walkers. "They tricked us. They have been preparing for centuries." "Then we destroy them. We send everything we have." This was the decision. The council voted unanimously. A grand fleet would be assembled, 5,000 ships from all 12 species, the largest armada in galactic history. They would burn Earth to ash and scatter humanity to the void. It would take 3 months to gather such a force, 3 months for humanity to prepare. Admiral Park used every moment. She called back every hidden ship. She activated every secret weapon. She brought together every pilot, every soldier, every scientist who could help. "They are coming with 5,000 ships," she told her commanders. "We have 7,000, but their ships are larger, older, more tested in battle. This will not be easy." Han, the tactical genius who had designed humanity's battle plans, stepped forward. She was small and quiet, with eyes that never stopped calculating. "We cannot fight them ship to ship," said. "We must fight smarter. We must use everything we have. The asteroids, the gravity wells, the darkness between worlds. We know this space. They do not. Can we win?" Paused, then she nodded. "Yes, but it will cost us." "How much?" "I do not know, but whatever it costs, it will be worth it." The council fleet arrived at the edge of the solar system on a cold Tuesday morning. 5,000 ships spreading across the darkness like a plague of metal and fire. Their commanders were confident. They had overwhelming numbers. They had ancient technology. They had 1,000,000 years of victory behind them. They did not have humanity. Admiral Park met them at the belt, the ring of ice and rock at the edge of the solar system. She had positioned her fleet among the frozen debris, hiding ships behind asteroids, using the darkness as a weapon. "All units," she said calmly, "hold position. Let them come to us." The council fleet moved forward. They expected the humans to flee or surrender. Instead, the humans waited. Then gave the order. "Now!" The belt came alive. Human ships burst from behind asteroids, firing from angles the council had not expected. Missiles that had been hidden in ice for months activated and found their targets. The asteroids themselves became weapons, pushed by hidden engines into the paths of council ships. The council formation broke apart. Ships collided with debris. Commanders screamed for information. Sensors gave readings that made no sense. Flew her fighter through the chaos, her mind focused on one thing, finding her sister. Somewhere in the council fleet there were prison ships. Somewhere was waiting. "Stay on my wing," she ordered her squad. "We are going for the transport ships." "That is behind enemy lines," her wingman protested. "I know, follow me anyway." They dove into the heart of the battle, dodging fire that could destroy them in a moment. Flew like she had never flown before, her ship dancing between enemies, her weapons finding targets with perfect accuracy. She was not fighting for victory, she was fighting for family. On the Defiance, Admiral watched the battle unfold. Plans were working. The council fleet was confused and divided. Human ships moved together like parts of a single mind, while council ships struggled to coordinate. "They have never faced an enemy like us," observed. "They do not know how to fight someone who is not afraid of them." "Everyone is afraid of something," replied. "Yes, but humans are afraid of losing the people they love. The council is afraid of losing power. Our fear makes us stronger. Their fear makes them weak." The battle raged for 3 days. 3 days of fire and death and desperate courage. Human ships were destroyed and human pilots died. But for every human loss, 10 council ships fell. For every human hero who gave their life, 1,000 council soldiers fled in terror. On the third day, the Council fleet retreated. Of 5,000 ships, only 2,000 escaped. They left behind a field of burning wreckage that stretched for millions of kilometers. Admiral Park opened a channel to the fleeing ships. Her voice was tired but strong. "Tell your masters what happened here," she said. "Tell them that Earth is no longer silent. Tell them that we are coming for every human they have taken. Tell them that the age of the Council is over." She paused, letting her words carry across the void. "And tell them that they should have left us alone." Among the wreckage, found what she was looking for: a prison transport, damaged but intact. Inside, 400 humans who had been taken from colonies across the solar system, including one young woman with tired eyes and a smile that had not seen in months. Whispered, pulling her sister into her arms, "I found you." "You came," said through tears. "I knew you would come." "Always promised. We always come for our own." The Battle of the Belt was over, but the war was far from finished. The Council had ruled for 1,000,000 years. In 3 days, humanity had shown them that their time was ending. The reckoning had begun. It was not a war of conquest. Humanity had no desire to rule the galaxy. They had seen what rulers became. They had watched the Council crush civilizations and enslave billions. They wanted something different, something better. It was a war of liberation. Human fleets spread across the stars, following maps stolen from Council databases. They found slave worlds where prisoners worked in darkness until they died. They found breeding camps where species were grown like crops. They found horrors that made even the strongest soldiers weep. And everywhere they went, they set people free. Admiral Park led the campaign from the Defiance. She was older now, her hair streaked with gray, her face marked by 5 years of difficult choices. But her eyes were still sharp, and her voice still commanded respect. "We do not bomb cities," she told her commanders. "We do not punish civilians. We fight soldiers, we break chains, and we leave. That is who we are. That is who we must remain." Some thought she was too soft. The Council had never shown mercy to humanity. Why should humanity show mercy to them? But understood something that anger could not see. "If we become like them," she said, "then we have already lost." Became a captain during the war. She led rescue missions to prison worlds, pulling humans and aliens alike from the darkness. Her sister worked beside her, no longer a miner but a medic, healing the wounds that the Council had caused. "How many more?" asked one night as their ship traveled between stars. "More than we can count," replied. "The Council has been doing this for 1,000,000 years. The damage cannot be fixed in 5. But we are fixing it. Yes, slowly, one world at a time." Dr. Lee died in the 3rd year of the war. She was 92 years old, and her heart simply stopped one quiet morning. Her funeral was held on Earth, attended by millions. She had given her entire life to preparing humanity for this moment, and she had lived just long enough to see it begin. Took her place as head of the research initiative. She continued work, developing new technologies that helped liberate more worlds, save more lives, end more suffering. But she never forgot the old woman who had taught her everything. "She used to say that patience was our greatest weapon," told the assembly. She was right, but she also knew that patience must have a purpose. We did not wait for 300 years because we were afraid. We waited because we were preparing to build something better. The final battle came on the Councils. It was a planet of ancient towers and dark monuments, built on the bones of 1,000 conquered civilizations. Here, the 12 ruling species had gathered for 1,000,000 years to divide the galaxy among themselves. Here, they had decided the fate of billions without ever asking permission. Now human ships filled their sky. Admiral Park walked through the great chamber where the Council had once held absolute power. The thrones of the 12 rulers stood empty, their owners fled or captured or dead. Only one remained. High Arbiter II sat on his throne of black stone, too proud to run, too broken to fight. He looked at with eyes that had seen empires rise and fall. So, he said, the primitives have won. We were never primitive, replied. We were patient, there is a difference. What will you do with us? Enslave us as we enslaved others, destroy us as we destroyed so many. Looked at him for a long moment. She thought of all the lives lost, all the worlds burned, all the suffering that the council had caused for 1,000,000 years. She had every right to demand revenge. But revenge was not why she had fought. We will give you a choice, she said. The same choice you never gave anyone else. You can join the new order as equals, not rulers. You can help rebuild what you destroyed. You can learn to live alongside the species you once enslaved. Stared at her in disbelief, and if we refuse, then you will fade into history. The galaxy no longer needs masters, it needs partners. The council chose to join, most of them anyway. Those who refused were not destroyed. They were simply left alone, their power gone, their empires dissolved, their slaves freed. In time, even the most stubborn among them accepted the new reality. The galaxy was changing. 1,000 years later, the story of Earth's silence had become legend. The Galactic Assembly met in a great hall on New Terra, a world built by humans and aliens together as a symbol of unity. Representatives from 10,000 species gathered to celebrate a millennium of peace. Speaker Park stood at the center of the hall. She was the great-great-granddaughter of Admiral Park, and she carried her ancestors' strength in her voice. 1,000 years ago, she said, Earth was a quiet planet. The galaxy thought our silence meant weakness. They thought we were afraid. They thought we were nothing. She looked out at the assembly, at the thousands of faces that represented the new order humanity had helped create. They were wrong. Our silence was not weakness. It was patience. Our patience was not fear. It was preparation. And our preparation was not for war. It was for this. She spread her arms wide, embracing the hall and everyone in it. This gathering, this unity, this peace. We did not fight to conquer. We fought to free. We did not build weapons to destroy. We built them to protect. We stayed quiet for 300 years so that one day every voice in the galaxy could be heard. The assembly rose in applause. Humans and aliens stood together, equals at last. Earth stayed quiet, said softly. And then, when the time was right, we spoke, and what we said changed everything. She smiled, and in her smile was the memory of every ancestor who had watched and waited and prepared. The galaxy once feared our silence. Now they celebrate our voice. That is our legacy. That is our gift. That is why we were quiet. She paused, looking up at the stars that shone through the great windows of the hall. And that is why we will never be silent again. The story was finished. The legend was complete. Earth had stayed quiet, and then it had changed the universe forever.